So here's how it was, 9 goals in the end in this game. When you take a look at what that means in the table, obviously Liverpool top of the pile as it stands right now. But as for Spurs, not the best performance from them today. Let's hear from Ange Postecoglou speaking after the game.
Look, I think I've been really patient the last 18 months, sitting up here answering the same questions over and over again. If people want me to change my approach, it's not going to change. Like, we're doing it for a reason. We're doing it because we think it'll help us be successful. If people don't understand the circumstances we're in at the moment and the challenges we have from a team and squad perspective, which are as obvious as you want to make them, now, I get the idea that people think, that I should just flick the switch and change and somehow that would miraculously make us a different team. But it is what it is. I'm just going to continue staying focused on trying to build this team to be the team we want. And, in the interim, we're going to have to, accept that there are going to be challenges along the way.
So as for Spurs, they are sitting 11th in the table. They have a tough trip to face Nottingham Forest on Boxing Day next, but they go into Christmas Day in the bottom end of the Premier League table. Should probably put the focus on Liverpool first. So Stevie, what to say about your former club today?
I'm trying to think of something that's not going to go overboard, because
Slick.
It was just, going forward, it was almost flawless. The only problem I would suggest is that it wasn't 10. I mean, that's kind of all I've got to say. I mean, the way they moved the ball around, the movement was fantastic. The middle of the park, again, dominated completely. The back line had pretty much nothing to do and fell asleep because it was so easy. But, as a unit, in terms of the way they played, I mean, I can't think of anything other than really good things to say without going overboard. It was just easy.
It's okay to say good things.
If Liverpool could play Tottenham every Saturday between now and the end of the season, I'd put money on them right now to walk the Premier League. That's how good they were today. And I'm not sure. I guess it's going to be easy for us to criticise Tottenham. But the fact is that I don't care who Liverpool were playing today in the Premier League, the way they went forward, the amount of chances they created, and as Craig mentioned the word slick, the passing, the movement, your front three get 2 goals each. I don't care who they were playing today, they would have won this game comfortably.
Perfect word to describe it, slick.
That's the best performance I've seen this season in England, maybe even in Europe. And I know Tottenham have injuries and defensive problems, blah, blah, blah. But this is an upgrade on, and they haven't won anything yet, but it's an upgrade on where they were last year, what Klopp was doing. It's much more composed. It's much more clinical, even though it could have been more. Slick is the word for me. It's just, it just moves round so seamlessly. People in positions. And again, Gravenberg, just when Liverpool are attacking, he's putting himself in the right positions to be in a good defensive shape. It was supremely impressive. And it could have been double figures. It could have been. They're the team to beat in the Premier League. There's no doubt. They're better than Arsenal. They're better than Chelsea. And of course, City are falling off the cliff. They play like that. And if they can bottle that, they'll win this league. They're going to win it.
Do you know one of the main reasons they're going to, if they do win the league, while they win it? And it's nothing to do with Mo Salah scoring loads of goals or the chances they create. The best teams, and certainly the best teams I played in that won titles, when they're going forward, what goes on behind that is so important to winning the title as opposed to just winning a game. Because not only do Liverpool make it easy on themselves, because teams can't get out against them, that means that they're not doing so much running. We talk about a long season, but when you play the way Liverpool do, and the way they save their legs because of the positioning behind the ball to stop teams when the ball's turned over is immense for Liverpool. But the other thing it does is it absolutely kills the opposition, because they're constantly under pressure. And Tottenham were constantly under pressure for the majority of this game until Liverpool decided it was over and it was too easy. That's why I think Liverpool can win the Premier League, because they're going to have the strength to carry them through the season because of the way they defend behind the ball when they've got all those players with the pace and the accuracy that Salah has in particular in front of goal.
You mentioned Salah, obviously you've mentioned
sorry.
We saw Szoboszlai, we saw Luis Diaz in the thick of it there today. Who's another name you'd pick out from the best of Liverpool today, Craig?
Gravenberch, McAllister, Alexander Arnold, everybody. But we sat on yesterday's show and was sort of had a little preview in this game. Sorry, I've got a little bit unwell. And we couldn't find a way that this Liverpool team would not pick apart this Tottenham side. There was no pathway that they could plot that we could see, and certainly I could see. Because when Tottenham are attacking and they don't change, and that's part of the annoyance at Tottenham fans, that they have all these players out, but yet they've not changed, and they're getting battered at times. And it's his reluctance, Postecoglou, to change that's led again to a game that could have been 9 or 10. And so when you looked at the two teams and how they were going to play, it was no surprise Tottenham came out and were a little sharp at the start, and Liverpool just waited, and then they picked him off. And they exploited the spaces that this Tottenham team leave. In abundance, huge gaps. And you've got a young 18-year-old who's a full-back in Archie Gray playing at centre-half, along with the third-choice centre-back in Dragusin. You have to give them some protection. But they don't. They don't. And when you do that against the quality that Liverpool have got, then the end result is what it is. So the way the game panned out was really no surprise. As I said at the start of the show, when I looked at the clock, I think they'd just gone to 5 on the hour. I think everybody in the stadium, Liverpool fans, Tottenham fans, and probably the Tottenham manager thought, what happens if this is double figures? It's unsurvivable. It's unsurvivable. So it could have been, and in some sense, he's lucky that it was only 6. And Liverpool did switch off, and they made a few changes and blah, blah, blah. But, man, this was a sort of men against boys performance.
Do you know, there's one thing I'd like to say about Ange. And I absolutely think he is 100% wrong when he came out there and he was talking about this is the way we play.
And you can't just change a switch. He's saying it's not just a switch that you can flick.
Well, I don't understand. His rationale to playing the way they play is that we're going to get better playing that way. I don't know a player or a team that gets better by losing 4, 5 and 6 every time they step on the field. Nobody gains from that. Nobody's learning anything other than the goalkeeper learning how to pick the ball out the back of the net. So I absolutely disagree 100% with him coming out and talking about how this is what's going to make them better. Because as far as I can see, every Saturday when we look at the table, they're beginning to drop further and further. So what part of it are they getting better at by losing 4, 5 and 6 every time they go on the field? I mean, it makes no sense at all. He's complaining that he's got no goalkeeper. Craig said his 2 centre-backs are not the first choice, 100%, and he's got no left-back. So you think, with that, before you even kick a ball, is a good reason to play open attacking football and go toe-to-toe with the likes of Liverpool. It's absolute madness, and it makes no sense whatsoever. And he can stick up for all his principles that he wants, but they are not going to get any points if they continue to play that way with the 11 that they've got. And if he doesn't change, then they're going to drop even further down, and he's going to be under even more pressure. That makes no sense to anybody.
Tottenham fans are already, they've turned. They turned a few weeks ago, a lot of them. Not them all, but a chunk of them.
Yeah.
And what they loved at the start of his tenure last year, they hate now. Because I'm sort of surmising here for some of them, but they think it's gone too far the other way. It's gone from being too defensive to just too gung-ho. And they believe, the Tottenham fans, a lot of them, that Postecoglou does not have the ability to make a change. And if this continues, we know what's going to happen, and it happens at Tottenham as often as many other clubs, because they're complaining about ENIC, the ownership, who've owned the club for 20 years now. They're complaining about the way Daniel Levy runs it, and Daniel Levy's at every game, as far as I'm aware. And when those fans, we all know, Stevie knows, we know, when they turn on the board and it gets bitter and angry from fans, who's Daniel Levy going to turn to? The same person he turned to all the time when Nuno Espirito Santo went in there and he wasn't the right man, he was sacked. When Conte, when he punted Conte, when he punted all these managers, it was because the fans started to turn. And mark my words, if Postecoglou doesn't get these players back fit again and start getting results or changing and being a bit more difficult to beat, they will turn on Levy big time, and it started, and he will sack Postecoglou. And when you're sacked, your principles go out the window because you can't get results sitting on your sofa at home. So, look, they're good to watch, they're entertaining, but some of the stuff we've seen is, at this level, frankly embarrassing from a defensive point of view, and that's unacceptable.
I just want to go back to Liverpool before we move on to talk about Mo Salah. He became the outright fourth highest goal scorer in Liverpool history. 2 goals again for him today, obviously involved in goals and assists, double digits to start the season. We're just looking at the tables here for goal and assist leaders, and there he is on top of both of them, Stevie, and this is all amidst talk of his future.
Well, I think the best thing I can say about Mo Salah is that there aren't many players who are going through this sort of contractual sort of dispute, I guess you could call it, who still perform as if everything's rosy in the garden. I mean, that says all you need to say about Mo Salah and his professionalism and the way he's gone about it. In terms of the goals and the numbers, it's just incredible. I mean, the guy just turns up and scores goals and assists his teammates for fun. But the most impressive thing is he's doing it under what we all see as a bit of a cloud, but clearly he doesn't see it that way.
Well, Alexander Arnold's doing something similar, isn't he? Because he's also in some hard negotiations over salary.
You can probably throw Van Dijk in as well, can't he?
But he's performing as well. And you imagine taking those 2 players out of this Liverpool side. Arguably the best passer of the ball, crosser, of any range of passing. Alexander Arnold can put it on a sixpence or on a dime, depending on what country you live in. And the other fella's he's a goals machine from the wide position. So it's a difficult position for Liverpool, because you're probably talking about breaking the bank here, in terms of wages, but they're so important to this team, particularly Salah, but also Alexander Arnold, that it's a really difficult scenario to be in. And those 2 players, I mean, you talk about holding the cards. Right. They are absolutely holding the cards at the moment, but you can only hold a club to ransom so far, I suppose, and then there has to be a cut-off. Whatever that is, I don't know. But whatever Liverpool are going to pay these boys if they re-sign, it's going to be bumper deals for both of them. There's no doubt about that.
What Slot's role in a situation like this here? How much does he get to know and talk about what's going on?
Well, I think if he's smart, he just keeps out it. And I would suggest he's probably keeping out it. I don't think it takes brain surgery to figure out that that Arne Slot or whoever was the Liverpool manager, if the board comes and say, would you like to sign these guys? He's not going to go, no, you're okay, it doesn't matter. But I think he's probably going to keep out it and just interact with them in terms of what happens on the field and how do we go about winning games, and don't get involved in it at all. Absolutely not at all. And I would suggest, why would he get involved in it? As I said, it's kind of a no-brainer. Of course you want them, but stick to the football and you'll keep these guys on side. Because if he gets involved and any of them get a sniff of he's fallen one way or another way or whatever, then that could affect what's happening on the field. So I would suggest that right now he's not involved and he shouldn't get involved.
He's been absolutely brilliant though, hasn't he, since he came in?
Scary. Right now we can't put a foot wrong. Every decision he makes seems to work.
If he takes Szoboszlai out and puts Jones in, it works. It's Szoboszlai who's had some quiet times. He's back in, he looked fresh, played a bit further forward today, really making those runs into the box that were taking out this, when Spurs got really stretched, which they do a lot, then Liverpool had bodies just to hit those holes, whether it was Diaz or Szoboszlai, whoever it was, Gakpo. He's been brilliant. I mean, quietly efficient, just in going along with... And he did say, he said, look, I was left a very good side. But it was a side that was quite some considerable way off winning the title last year. So there was still a lot of work to do, and there still is a lot of work to do, but I don't think any of us thought that it was going to be as seamless as this. But when Klopp had been at the club for so many years, and a lot of the backroom staff had left as well, but you talk about being in pole position. At the moment, I'd say they are, they're a better team than Europe at the moment. Bayern Munich? No, because I think defensively they still have some issues. With Liverpool really don't, even though Gomez has come in, he's done well beside Van Dijk. You'd have to say at the moment Liverpool are the informed team, the best team if you were matching them up at the moment in Europe.
There's not a more consistent team in Europe.
At the moment, no.
Absolutely not.
And Arsenal have got their injury problems, and Odegaard's been out. Saka's injured again. We talked about that yesterday. I don't believe we have an update in that. So at the moment, obviously there's a long way to go. But the two surprises for me, obviously Chelsea, who we're going to talk about, how far they've come, and just how seamless this transition has been thus far for Arne Slot. And I bet they're absolutely delighted, and I don't mean this in a bad way, that the lesser experienced Xabi Alonso turned it down, and that they've got this guy who just seems to be, as Stevie's said all season, making pretty much every decision he gets it spot on.
Can't believe you didn't give Atleti a shout, Stevie. That's not like you.